Looks like another week of football is upon us. 2 big, huge semifinal college games, and Ed, the NFL playoffs are upon us. And I've been praying all week long for my Bears as I'm holding them up here above my head that we can just, please, baby Jesus, beat the Green Bay Packers in the first round. That's all I care about right now. That's it.
But more importantly, it's season 3. It's episode 98. It's the Bottom Line Podcast, and it starts now.
And that's the bottom line. You want a war? You're going to get one.
The queen rise to the top, oh yeah.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
And, you know, sometimes the trigger finger just does not work like it should.
I think it's, maybe age combined with drink.
During that intro when I'm trying to bring all the powers that be into the show,
I'm watching your screen below, and I'm like, I can see you like this, and I'm like, we're getting toward the end, Ed. You got to get it together.
Oh, shit. So needless to say, I'm finishing it up here, so feel free to fill in a few seconds while I
yeah. Well, I mean, I could easily do that. I mean, we
you're
are a little short-handed tonight. Chad is under the weather. He's apparently caught the flu, so he's out of commission tonight. It's probably, it's a good thing we got a handful of guys on the bottom line, Ed, because it seems like we're always running short-handed. Brett had a long day at work. I don't even know if he's home yet. Whether he comes on or not, I guess we'll see. But just a lot going on, lots of football. And hey, I look at it this way. I guess it's their loss, because with the amount of football that we got to talk about, UFL, college, and one of our bottom line cohorts' favorite team, not named Eric, Brett, or Chad. I'm sure when we bring her on, she's going to be rooting hard for the Bears this weekend on Saturday at 7 o'clock. So she's going to be holding them up just like this. Go Bears. I know you've been watching them, Ed, because you send them to me every once in a while. How many teams have the super fans like the Bears that make songs every single week for their team? I mean, Is that not the coolest? You look at Saturday.
Let me guess. Chicago has made another song.
Yeah, I don't know what the copywriting is, so I haven't ever downloaded them on here. I'd love to because they are absolutely hilarious. But I mean, say what you want, Ed, but lots of things gravitate towards Chicago. Saturday Night Live. How many skits on Saturday Night Live about any other football team but the Bears?
Yeah. Doesn't ice gravitate towards Chicago too?
Doesn't what?
Ice?
Yeah, that'd be Minnesota, Ed. That would be Minnesota.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, let's bring on one of the other partners in crime.
KJ, what's up, bud?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are y'all doing?
KJ, brought to you from a cave this week.
More like the suite of a random hotel in Podunk, northern Indianapolis, but we won't go there. So
you're always coming from.
You're in Indianapolis now? Holy crap!
I'm in the land of the Hoosiers, I guess. Yeah, if you want to be technical. So
are you talking about my Indiana Hoosiers? Listen, if
you changed affiliations now that the bottom.
If coaches can jump ship. If coaches can jump ship and players can play for 4 different teams in college, aren't I allowed to jump ship every year and try to find a better team?
To partially segue on Ed's point or your point from earlier, Eric, I don't know of any other team that can simply utter like 3 words in a song and everybody around the country will know, their fanship will be called out of the woodwork. And it's as simple as, hey, hey, and then you automatically get a response from the closest neighboring Bills fan that's passing you by on the public street.
Since crazy. Chad's not here, I can say this. I've been to a game in Lincoln. Ed, have you ever been to a game in Lincoln?
Yes, I have.
When you walk down the sidewalk outside of Memorial Stadium, some random dude will remotely yell, "Go Big Red," and the entire crowd will go Big Red the whole time.
Well, you know what that first guy is doing. The first guy is reteaching the chant to the Big Red fans so they know how to do it.
That could be.
He's just taking it slow so the rest of them can chime in at the end.
I mean, it is 3 words strung together, so I mean it takes a little bit.
They pick up.
Yeah.
So to get us going on our big, we've been starting off with UFL talk. We've got something going on this week that involves the UFL. It's not exclusively UFL by any means, but as we alluded to a couple weeks ago with a Facebook post and an X post, we added to our crew, but we decided we was gonna to get a little better looking because Eric's getting to that age where he's losing his hair, and KJ, yeah.
If I put my finger, there's where my hairline's at, Ed.
Yeah,
I mean, it's close to my eyes. Come on.
So that's about where mine's at.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring on somebody who is currently at the College Gridiron Showcase in Fort Worth, Texas. And we'll bring her on, and it's being hosted by Hose Jefferson, which Mandis had the opportunity to interview. But let's bring her on, and
hi, everybody.
There she is.
Hello, everybody.
Chicago Bears super fan, Amanda. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
But
No.
I hate to say it, guys. I hate to say it, but for her first appearance on the Bottom Line show, she's already on probation for not wearing the appropriate attire.
It's true.
I mean, what about the Bottom Line doesn't scream white with the logo and she wears black?
You don't have to explain
I
yourself
bring
now, Amanda.
diversity.
We're gonna have a behind closed doors meeting and get this sorted out. So we won't hash it out here on the air, but
Okay, well, we'll have that private meeting at another moment, at another time, won't we?
So anyway, let's take our mugs off. Eric, you take our mugs off because it seems like when we both try to do it, we just sit there and flip back and forth.
we just gonna leave Amanda all by herself.
We
unchecked?
will we'll leave Amanda all by herself, and we'll let her give us the lowdown on just what this College Gridiron Showcase is for, and what all leagues are being represented, and what she's going to bring to us that we'll have ready for next week's show.
All right, take it away, Amanda.
See, I'm already proud of them because they're already letting me take the show away. So without further ado, I'll get started. I am in Fort Worth, as my dad said, in Fort Worth, Texas. There is going to be, at the College Gridiron Showcase, there's going to be over 200 athletes here, over 180 scouts and agents. It is red hot elite prospects that are competing in front of decision makers. This is literally a 100% amazing opportunity. If you have not signed up for it, still, without a doubt, do that. There's going to be people here from the NFL, CFL, UFL, IFL, and WWE. Yes, everybody, I said WWE. This is exposure equals opportunity. This is opportunity in so many ways, so many aspects in different leagues than you could ever imagine. And these are kids that are anywhere from getting out of high school, going through college, out of college. This is a stepping stone for a new career for you. And what better opportunity than now? They will be receiving, the players are actually getting here. The athletes will be here on Friday. They will receive a bag, a name tag with the schedule, and a bunch of other really fun goodies in there. And tomorrow and Friday, yours truly will be taking a bunch of classes. There will be a bunch of workshop classes, for instance, talking about analytics, women in football, topics like inside college scouting, getting to know the ins and outs of the game of football behind the scenes, but also everything that goes on and what you're looking for in these players to get them to where they want to be, which obviously would be the NFL. I got the pleasure of speaking with Hose Jefferson tonight. I had to reminisce with him a little bit because he used to be the head coach of the Sioux City Bandits back in the day. My dad knows all about them. So it was really cool kind of picking his brain on that. There was some scouts that were here that were signed to NFL teams. He did ask me who my favorite team is, which is the Minnesota Vikings. And so I am excited because I'm going to be the runner for the Minnesota Vikings. So yours truly will be there doing all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for this opportunity. I'm excited to be here. It is an all weekend thing. They will be doing on-field drills on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, did I just hear this right? Hold on a second, Amanda. I don't want to break your train of thought or anything, but did you just say, did you just mention the Minnesota Vikings?
I did.
Wait a minute now. This just got serious. Well, I can't have a guy in the background doing this crazy crap. Are you done, Eric?
Doing what?
He had to keep doing crap, but that's okay. That's okay. When you mention the Minnesota Vikings, we all know.
80, what you gonna do today? I got my A game. You got your A game?
A game?
He got his A game.
Okay.
80, what you gonna do today? I got my A game.
Let's go ahead.
I got my A game. Just saying.
Oh, and just so the listeners know, I want to, before Amanda goes on, for those of you that live under a shell and don't actually know, Amanda is my daughter, my one and only daughter. So she is to attest, as you can plainly see next to me, that yours truly, Big Daddy Ed, don't make no junk. That's right. So go ahead. Right. I'll let you take back over again.
So I'm really excited too for this opportunity because my partner in crime, Amber, I'm with the A-Team show also. Jose had reached out to us a while back and asked us to be a part of this amazing opportunity. And so I talked with Amber about it, and we're pumped to be here. We're going to be able to have private interviews. We have our own room that we will be doing one-on-one interviews with these players on Saturday and Sunday. As I was saying, we will be going to, it's not far from here where we're at, about 10 minutes or so. We'll be at a field and they will be doing drills, and we will be on the field taking pictures, doing interviews. It's just like, this is honestly a mind-blowing whirlwind opportunity that could not be a bigger sponge for. So I am elated to have more and more and more information for you all and pictures and everything. So yeah, there's a lot coming your way for sure.
The good part about all this
yours truly is gonna know the ins and outs more than Tweedledee and Tweedledum up here.
As Amanda brings us player interviews and hopefully maybe some scouts, maybe some, who knows? We got KJ down here, who's like the IT master, who's going to turn this all into production for next week's show. So we're excited to see how much of this we can bring to you guys.
KJ, you're going to love me. I promise.
Ed just needs to add a budgetary line item in for buying me a new computer, since mine recently kicked the dust. I'm gonna have to build a new one. But I've got the work laptop to carry me over, so we'll be all right.
KJ might just have to cut off one or two locations of the world that he's been seeing the last. I don't think
I have cool friends who give me cool perks, bro. All right, it is what it is.
I don't think there's one week that I've ever seen KJ in the same location. So,
like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? We got where in the world is KJ this week?
Hey, I would love.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I'm hoping to be able to. Well, and can I just say this? I got to see the actual room where these athletes get to meet with these scouts and agents. And it's like 2 chairs and then one on the other side. And then there's like another room where they all have to go to and wait to get their name called. So it's almost like American Idol tryouts, people, where like you go in and like the NFL draft, where you go up and I get to read a name off the post or on the podium, and then they get to leave, go in and hear the good news. Oh my God.
Are you gonna be like Ryan Seacrest, giving them their golden tickets, Amanda, when they come out the door if they get the approval?
No, I'm gonna be like that person from the NFL draft that I get to go up on the stage and read their names, and then I get to walk them to go meet the. Listen, I'm so excited. So it's going to be a good time. There's more and more and more to come.
This is Amanda.
I am going to be here for a while.
So hopefully you'll be leading them in proper attire.
Send this woman a polo stat.
Yes.
And if we're talking proper attire, Amanda, what would we be talking about?
My CGS attire that I actually got when I got here and that I've been instructed to wear. That's what I'm wearing.
She didn't get the memo, boys.
She didn't get the memo.
No.
Didn't get the memo.
See, Amanda,
Clothes don't-
even when you don't wear the proper attire, you still wear the proper color coordinated related.
That's
yeah,
right.
Like you got to be coordinated.
So just some quick UFL
some of
news
us come with
before we,
fashion, though.
so just some quick UFL news before we move along. Of course, they announced the draft is January 13th and 14th. But prior to that, starting on the 9th, I believe they're going to assign quarterbacks. Each team was allowed to give their priority on one quarterback that they wanted on their roster, and then I believe that the league was going to assign 2 other quarterbacks to each roster. They're also, you've got the protected list of 12 players that each team is going to be allowed to protect on last year's roster. And so those 12 players that are protected will, of course, not be included in the draft that's going to be held on the 13th and 14th. They announced that the 2026 schedule comes out on the 22nd of January. And that's also going to be the same day that game tickets go on sale. So is there any other caveats, Amanda, that you can think of?
And of course, the quarterback one is happening when I'm here, but it's not open to the public for us to be able to go. Otherwise, I would have loved to have been to that, but it's okay.
So
but yeah, I'm excited to see a lot of that too. Yeah.
Does anybody have the information on? So the head coaches, like Ricky Prohl, for example, will say St. Louis wants this guy. So that's QB1. How are they going to do QB2 and 3? Is it just going to be 4 or 5 guys in a room saying, let's give Birmingham this guy and St. Louis this guy? Like, are they going to evaluate like who they believe the next line is and then try to, how are they going to do that?
I was assuming that it was going to be as much regionally based as possible for the second, third player. I may be wrong, but that's how I thought they were going to handle it.
We haven't heard anything exclusively, Ed, to that point.
Right.
That they won't be allowed to even, but I'm not saying many teams, if any, will do this, but in just thinking theoretically for your squads from the past years, like Skip Holt's Stallions of yesteryear that were pretty loaded in the QB room. Could there be a coach that says, hey, I'll take 2 of my 12 guys and make them 2 quarterback holds because I want depth in the position? I doubt that happens, but we haven't seen anything in terms of the verbiage and restrictions, if you will, or roadmap for how and who they can choose positionally for these 12 reserve spots that are put on hold prior to the draft even commencing. So,
but we also haven't heard either what coordinators are coming back yet either.
Yeah, there's no secondary positions really that have been announced. So,
well, I can tell you from kind of being a UFL insider myself that Chuck Long will not be returning as the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Renegades. That much I know for sure.
Yeah, so Dallas is looking at a coaching change, probably across the board, as is probably a lot of these teams. But I would suspect that the quarterback for the St. Louis Battlehawks is not going to be Duggan because I believe he signed a contract in the CFL, didn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I can't say that I'm exactly heartbroken over that decision, but
but I guess I would say, KJ, to your point, I don't think they will be able to do that because they have specifically singled out quarterbacks. So I don't think
you'll still even be able to include a single man from the 12.
I think the 12 players that you're able to Because here's what I mean. I would say that because of the scenario, like, Jordan Ta'amu, he's probably the quarterback at DC.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be okay, Birmingham, you go. Who do you want? Oh, we want Jordan Ta'amu. Like,
no. Well, and I think to your point, I think even within the, that's good. Probably there's so much that's just not known. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, since they designated the quarterbacks, I'm going to say that quarterbacks are not going to be included in the 12 protected players.
Right. Well, to debunk your hypothetical there, the only thing I would say is that I think it's clear that we know, at least at a minimum, that the 12 reserve players, from my understanding at least, are the ones that they're saying, okay, from our previous roster, if it's a pre-existing team, obviously this doesn't apply to Louisville, Columbus, whatever.
Yes, it does.
It does from the rollover players.
Columbus will have Michigan, and however there's the other two.
Louisville has Memphis, and Orlando has San Antonio.
When they say 12 reserve players,
okay, I don't mean to cut you fair, fine gentlemen off, but I got to go.
Oh,
you got to go. What do you got to do?
Don't run too fast, Amanda.
So before you go, Amanda,
what do I have to do?
So fill us in then. So fill us in then. What does tomorrow bring for Amanda? What's she going to be diving into tomorrow?
So tomorrow I will have class starting at just before noon, and that will go till about 6:30 or so. And then at 7 to 9, there's like a networking mixer. So I'm excited about that too. I'll get to meet more people and have a good time. So I'll be in workshop all day. I'll be learning. I'll be a sponge tomorrow.
There you go.
So I got to get my questions and all that prepared. So that's why
we're definitely looking forward. We're definitely looking forward to what you're able to put together over the course of the next 3 or 4 days, and we'll definitely bring it to everybody on next Wednesday's show. So make me proud, Daja.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's still a probationary period since you don't have your bottom line stuff on, but that's fine. We'll figure that out.
Oh, and one more thing. Go Packers. Okay, kick me off. Gotta go.
You said that with a straight face? Oh, my God. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Probationary period over.
Man, I lost a relative right now. Like, we cannot even be related anymore. She said that. I mean, that cuts too deep. I can take a lot of stuff. But when your daughter, Ed, says, go Packers, I'm out.
Well, that's
no, I'm out.
I'm almost in the same boat, Eric. That was pretty tough to listen to.
There is no excuses for that. I am out. You only have 2 kids to me, not 3. Man, when I get a chance to call, man. Anyway, all right. Hey.
Look at John. John David had to weigh in.
Yeah, I don't. Well, John David, Schmon David, whatever. Look at Mama Bear's watching.
Yeah, Mama Bear's watching.
I see. Amanda comes on and Mama Bear watches. I get it. So I see. All right, that's cool. That's fine. That's fine.
He's got to tune in for the fruit of her loins, right?
Yeah, that kind of cuts deep too, but whatever. That's fine. That's fine, Jolene. Kind of cuts deep. Whatever.
Ed's over here commenting on his seed. I think the least. Sorry, PC folks. Tell your children.
Tell the children to turn it off. Good. All right. College football time?
College football time.
Okay. Let's start off with the wild and the woolly of college football. If you guys have noticed, if any of you have been paying attention, this is currently the number of athletes in the transfer portal. Now, before you guys freak out in the comment line, roughly, there's an asterisk to this, roughly 4,500 of this number is Division I athletes. So, I mean, right, correct. So, I mean, all the kids in the port, whatever. But it's nine
That's a
over
staggering number.
9,000. One, I believe I think I saw this. That 4,500 represents roughly just over, what did they say? Like between just over a third of all college football players. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, what are we doing? You tap this number. You tap this number with, where's it at here? Where did I load it at? This here.
Yeah.
$5 million to Brendan Sorsby to go to Texas Tech. Look, what are we doing here?
That contract you see there is for one season. One of NCAA play.
Now, one season with Texas Tech. Here's what Shedeur Sanders got to play 4 years in Cleveland.
This is just a numbers thing. This isn't specific on who we're comparing. Just look at the numbers and the position.
$4.6 million for 4 years, and this guy gets $5 million
rookie NFL contract,
and his poster up on Times Square in New York City. What in the hell are we doing? I love you too, Angeline. I can't be mad at her, but I can easily be mad at Amanda. No problem. But seriously, what are we doing?
Well, as I've said all along, this is the precursor to multi-year contracts coming to college football, because you cannot have 4,000 athletes on a year in, year out basis going into a transfer portal and having it be a free-for-all. I mean, you're talking coaching staffs, college universities that have no idea from 1 year to the next what their roster looks like.
Right.
So
we know. I have a theoretical question that comes to my mind. I don't know if you or Ed, you or Eric know this, but I guess we know the average salary cap or what do you call it? Yeah, I guess the salary cap for the pro NFL teams with regards to their spending, allowance, if you will. Do we know portionally what a head coach is paid on average in the NFL contract compared to their respective team they're coaching, and how that would compare on the college scale things? If you look at, your Nick Saban, even you take the best paid guy and compare him to the yearly expenditure of a, NCAA.
Yeah. So I've actually looked into that, KJ, because we were talking about earlier, I don't know if it's Ed and I or Brett and I, we were just talking about how crazy the contracts are getting and what they're paying some of these coaches. And I know this varies from team to team, what a coordinator makes or whatever, but an offensive or defensive coordinator in the NFL probably makes $1 million, $2 million, depending on the guy.
Sure.
So what we were talking about in the discussion was, okay, we'd mentioned Joe Brady potentially tied to the Penn State job before Matt Campbell took it. And I thought to myself, okay, so Joe Brady's offensive coordinator at Buffalo. Fine. Making, let's assume, I don't know what his exact numbers are, but let's say $2 million. And Penn State paid Matt Campbell nearly $9 million a year. So, I mean, I realize you're at the NFL and that's the pinnacle of football. But my thought process goes to $9 million a year, I think, puts Matt Campbell definitely in the top 20 of head coaches. Head coaches. I think Andy Reid makes the most at $20 million a year, if I remember correctly when I looked at the list of head coaches.
Right.
But outside of that, it starts to drop, and I think the 10th highest paid head coach in the NFL is something like 12, 14 million, somewhere right in there. So you're paying Matt Campbell, almost $9 million at Penn State. He's not the highest paid coach in college football, not close.
Yeah.
So how long, if this continues the way it is, could the NFL pay a price for this?
Yeah, that's what my
in coordinators and things like that are moving down to head coaching, because you don't see a lot of jumping from college to NFL. You've seen it in the past. Saban was a failure. The guys that have done it and then come back to the college game and they're right back in their element. But I would have to believe, you might start seeing some guys that really start to pay attention to these jobs.
Right.
Because it's money.
It's crazy to me. Like, my question was more on, scaling comparison between, the percentage factor. You bring up the coordinators. I'd give Andy Reid, I guess, as your best example, since you quoted his contract value. Someone that gets paid that much for a year, assuming a year. I don't know if that was a multiple.
Yeah, that's his pay for a year.
Okay.
$20 million.
So you take that, and then the NFL, the average team's salary cap is what, like tenfold that, or that would be a 10% factor, if you will, so to speak. The coach's salary respective to the team spending budget.
Yeah, I don't know how that plays into it.
I guess when I look at a team like the one I can recall from memory, at least, because they were comparing like Texas Tech's expenditure, which I think was north of $30 million for this year in terms of how much they paid to NIL costs to get players or what have you. Texas was at, I think, 28. UT Longhorns, and I'd be curious to know what Sarkisian's, sort of however you pronounce his goofy freaking name.
So the NFL coaches, Andy Reid is $20 million a year. Sean Payton is $18 million a year. Well, the formerly head coach of the Ravens was $17 million a year. John Harbaugh. Mike Tomlin $16 million. Jim Harbaugh $16 million. Sean McVay $15 million, and Kyle Shanahan $14 million. So that's 7 deep. So, that's getting we're starting to talk about NFL money in college. That's craziness. Well, actually, we're beyond it, because Shedeur Sanders, like the players, were beyond it in a lot of cases. You want to talk about.
I mentioned to you before we went live, but I think you're going to see some really, there's no way we can project exactly how this is all going to play out. But the level of inflation, I guess, for lack of a better word, that we're seeing in the NIL contracts almost makes me think that some of these guys are going to really start to try to play chess amongst the people that are still playing checkers when it comes to, if they're on a squad that doesn't in the top half of their conference, say, isn't going to be bowl eligible coming into the year within the last 3 weeks of a season that's left to conclude, they may go to their coach and go, hey, man, sit me for my red shirt, or whatever, get these 3 games of eligibility back that I can roll over to the next season so that I can kind of squeeze the cash cow as much as possible while I still have collegiate eligibility, simply because I know I'm going to get paid more than I will in my rookie contract in the NFL. It's crazy.
Hey, go ahead, Ed.
So as we look at these ranges that come out for college football and what these players, the average good player in the transfer portal, can expect to receive next year, you may look at the NFL having to readdress, as KJ brought up to us before the show, you may have to see the NFL revisit what their base salary is going to be for players in the NFL, because what's the incentive? These players in college now are in a position where their base salaries in college are going to rival what the NFL can offer. Even if, as we look at these salary ranges, the tight end position, $300K to $900K. But I was listening to reports a couple weeks ago that it may be that for a range, but if you want one of the top tight ends, you'll pay $2.5 million.
Yeah.
So, how can college if you decide that you're going to put 25 to 35 million towards the roster, and you do that for a year, 2, 3 years, and you don't win a national championship, at what point does the donors, at what point does sponsors, at what point does alumni say, I'm not going to keep forking this kind of money into this program if you can't produce me a national champion? And there can only be one every year.
Right. Well, but here's the deal. I think what they're looking at is valuation. And what I mean by that is, okay, let's say that Indiana doesn't win. But what's Indiana's valuation now compared to what it was 2 years ago? Oregon's valuation obviously is good. Even Miami with resurgence. The last national title that any of these teams have won that are in the semis is 2001 when Miami did it. That's the last one. But I think it adds to a broader question of this. Let's say, for example, Dante Moore in Oregon. If I'm Dante Moore, I'm having my agent making calls. I'm talking to the Raiders and I'm talking to the Jets. My primary call is to the Raiders. And the reason I say that is this. If the Raiders are not going to draft me, I sure in the hell do not want to go to the Jets. I think we probably all agree with that, right? So if I'm Moore, I might go to Oregon and say, listen, I know what my going rate would be. If you could make mine $5 million, I'm going to stick around for my last year because I don't want to go to the Jets. Maybe I'm the number one next year, and maybe it's not the Jets. Maybe, but I'll stick around for $5 million. I'm not going to the draft. I think that these kids, these agents have gotten a hold of these kids, and it's going to be business, business, business. I mean, maybe the Raiders say, no, we are taking you, well, and that puts it different. Maybe Mendoza is thinking, there's just so many angles now that may keep these kids in college bouncing around for more and more money.
Right.
Because they're not dumb. They see that Shedeur Sanders is stuck in Cleveland for 4 years at $4.5 million total. Sorsby's going to make that this year. Moore could potentially make that next year if he decides to stay and says, hey, pay me and we're good. Has it created that? I don't know. But I think I told you this, Ed, or maybe I told Brett this in talking. I think the NCAA is doing this on purpose. And the example that I give is not a football example, but it's a basketball example. Baylor has by all accounts, a professional basketball player that enrolled with Baylor, was granted his clearance, and he is he's playing his second game with Baylor. He went to the G League. He played 3 or 4 years professionally in Europe. He's a European. You know what the NCAA said? Well, we only regulate American athletes, so we can't help the fact that he's played professional basketball. And since he hasn't played in the NBA, then, he hasn't played a game in the NBA. He's got 4 years eligibility left. So be it. Here's what I think the NCAA is doing. I think the NCAA is just letting it play itself out, hoping that in order to not look like the bad guy, that Congress or somebody like that steps in and says, listen, you get this under control. We're going to get it under control. We're not doing it. Okay, then we will. And let them do it so they are the bad guys. Because we all know that the NCAA, for years was $1 billion industry on the backs of players. Well, then they say, okay, no restrictions, do what you want. And I think they're just letting this play out. Professionals from Europe come over and be college kids and stuff like that, for the simple fact that they want somebody else to make the decision. They want the Congress to step in, because there's already been congressional tweets. They have mentioned Iowa State's football program and how it just imploded after Campbell left and how the money is affecting it. They need to do something about it. Well, I think the NCAA is saying that. We're just waiting for you to do something about it. And until they do, the NCAA is not stepping in at all. They're not going to step in at all.
To me, that strategy only lessens the amount of, we'll say, caca that we can heap further onto the head of the NCAA, since we all know they're vilified across the board anyways, with plenty of other things we can nitpick them on with regards to,
Right.
playoff seeding, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. I know that's a separate committee, but it's still collegiately connected.
But KJ, to that point, it would allow the NCAA to say, listen, this is Congress saying we have to do this. Like, we were the ones that allowed this, but Congress said we can't. It's not our fault. But so the NCAA doesn't look like the bad guy.
I mean, do you think with how it's kind of laws are rolling at this present time, that it's of greater financial benefit for the NCAA to sit back and take a course, because I don't know what they would milk out of it indirectly from a dollars and cents standpoint, but I mean,
I'm not getting a lot of what you're saying, KJ. You're breaking.
You throw this much money, I guess, through the players' NIL contracts. I'm saying, secondarily or indirectly, that flow of money is that still bolstering or somehow making its way finally into the pockets of NCAA folks, and that's why they say we'll just let it ride, because it's as chaotic as it is, it's still helping college football.
Because if you look at the viewership, Ed, if you look at the viewership of these games and you look at the advertising and things like that, it's not going down. The money flowing, in those cases is not going down. So what's the answer, Ed? If it's not NCAA saying if Congress doesn't step in, I guess it is what it is. I mean, what's the answer? What's the NCAA's end game? Because it can't keep going like this.
Well, as we talked about prior to the show, I think what you find is that rather than the Division I schools, from a overall perspective, try to compete with each other over players and trying to win the national championship, a lot of schools know full well, your Iowas, your Iowa States, know full well that their chances of winning a national championship are probably slim and none. But like you said earlier, the Iowa State Cyclones are ranked number 3 in basketball.
Right.
So do these colleges, rather than throw all this money into football, are you going to start seeing colleges pick and choose what they want to be good at?
Yeah.
And maybe Iowa State, that was throwing $15 million into their football program,
13.
is now going to throw 8 at their football program, and they're going to throw 15 into their basketball program.
Yeah. I think you 100% could see that. And I think, to take it even farther, I think you're going to see some programs, they're going to be gone. Schools are going to decide, listen, we are way better in basketball, or we are way better in this, or we're more known for this. I mean, and I just use Iowa State as example because I know the numbers. $13 million went to football, $5 million goes to basketball. We're rated number 3 in the country, 15-0. Well, what if basketball had all 18 million of that? I mean, it doesn't guarantee championships or anything like that, but I'm just saying, what if basketball had all 18 million of that?
It's going to sure put Iowa State in the conversation for top recruits.
And Iowa State cannot be the only school, or we can't be the only guys thinking about this. There has to be schools thinking, they're gonna play this out for a while and see if the NCAA or something changes it. But if it doesn't look like it's going to change for the foreseeable future, I mean, okay, then what are we going to do here?
Call me call me crazy if you think this is an off the wall idea, but as I further played this out in my head, theoretically speaking, to your point, Eric, if we start to see schools do that and completely drop, for instance, their football programs for a basketball pursuit because they see it as a more lucrative, sport opportunity, could this be something that theoretically actually in the long run benefits a league like the UFL? From the standpoint of you delete, so many programs, the player pool is then still the existence is still as big as it is. Where do all those guys go if they actually still won't continue to want to play the sport, but they don't have the opportunity, collegiately kind of thing?
It just depends on how many. It just depends on how many teams could put. And again, this is all potential. This is all who knows.
Spitballing.
But let's say the NCAA over the course of the next 10 years, let's say loses a third of its football programs, or basketball loses a third of its basketball programs, or whatever. That can't be good for the sport. I don't know which programs it would be or whatever, but that cannot be good for the sport. And that would, even though there's still money in football or whatever, there's going to be less money. That's not something NCAA is going to like.
I wouldn't think so, yeah.
But when you look at Texas Tech, for example, again, I called it a year ago, and I said, watch out for Texas Tech in a couple of years. Well, they're a year ahead. And now next year, they've spent $5 million on Sorsby. They have bought the 2 best D tackles in the transfer portal. Like, they are lining up again because they're going to have $30+ million they're going to end up spending on next year's class. And the other thing is, who's going to focus on, with 4,500 Division I athletes in the transfer portal, where does that put high school kids unless you are just 100% elite? Where does that put high school kids in the mix? Where do they go? Are high school kids just stuck? I don't want to just say stuck because there's really good programs, but are high school kids going to end up being lower level kids, and then they're the ones that are going to have to, go to South Dakota State and enter the transfer portal and then get picked up by a D1 school? Like, what's that going to look like? Because, this transfer portal just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
Well,
I guess that's where my UFL question comes into play. Is like, not, as you stated, that would be in the long run probably more of a negative for NCAA than a positive. But I would concede to your point, if that were to happen, I guess, and those are kids coming out of school going, okay, I can go play at this low tier school. There's no guarantee I'm going to be able to transfer up at any point because the demand is so much higher than there is a, demand. I say demand. Supply is so much greater than the demand to fill it from the schools that still have a football program, theoretically. Well, those guys go, okay, I can still go to this community college, and also on the side, I can go play spring ball and make, minimal, but 50 to 60 plus, by that point, probably those salaries may be higher if the UFL, runs its course and builds some tenure up. Say I'll go there and then I'll work my way up, get enough film, maybe try for the NFL or CFL later or whatever, instead of even going the collegiate route, because you've got guys that happens in baseball now, as we already know. You got guys that come straight from high school and go straight to the pros because they're so good and the demand pool is so high, and that's just not one of the top tier sports necessarily in college as much as basketball and football is. But
right,
in a way, it's kind of turned into the NFL. Because you have teams in the NFL that decide, do I spend the offseason buying free agents and trying to build a championship team that way? Or do I go through the draft and get a bunch of rookies and hoping that I have success enough that I can build a championship team that way?
Yep.
College has kind of created that same boat, because now you have these colleges that, are your top 10, 15 colleges looking at the transfer portal, and they're going, would I rather build a team, since I have the money, through the transfer portal, or do I take a chance on signing high school kids?
Right, Ed, but here's the problem with the high school kid thing. Okay, you coach at Iowa. You're the Iowa Hawkeyes head football coach, and you recruit 17 kids out of high school or however many it is. And 2 of them, you're like, man, these kids got some serious talent. And you pay them $500,000 a year to be there. And they turn out to be really, really good. And then guess what? The back channels come calling, and all of a sudden, those kids enter the portal.
Princess Diana wave.
They say, thank you for bringing us to Division I, but we're going to play for Indiana because they play for national titles now. Do you see what I'm saying?
So basically what you're saying is that the colleges that don't qualify in the top
echelon,
colleges being a national championship, they're basically using the other college teams as a farm system
100%.
to sort out the talent in year 1, knowing that year 2 they're going to get them.
Think about this. And again, I use Iowa State as an example because I know there are tons of Iowa kids that Matt Campbell took a chance on, brought them into Iowa State. They may have been looking at some of the guys. I can't remember what his name was. He had offers from Iowa State, South Dakota State, and maybe North Dakota. All right. Turns into a pretty good player year 2 and started his junior year. Matt Campbell leaves. Where does he go? Kid's not loyal to Iowa State.
Right.
He now plays at Penn State. You know, I mean, the loyalty for the schools and those types of things is totally over. It's over. So they don't look at it like, God, you know, Iowa State gave him a big chance, stuff like that, or, you know, whoever gave, even if the coach stays, they don't look at it like, you know, Ed gave me a chance here at the Hawkeyes, and yep, I know I can go make $700,000 more, but I owe it to Ed and the Iowa Hawkeyes to finish here. That's virtually gone.
Right. I think Jade brings up a good question, asking about secondary tier schools. Eric and Ed can spot check me on this, but in present landscape, NIL-wise, they probably do get paid. I don't think it's probably very much. I think those schools at that level probably are still more back in the archaic, if you want to call it that, or past good old boy setting where, yeah, they might get some type of local deal with your, you know, hometown burger chain or car dealership or whatever, but I don't think it's anything near what the Division I schools are getting by a long shot, if they are even getting paid. And most of those are probably going to be at your schools that, like Eric and I already mentioned, where they have their proprietary program. They may not even be football because they're a, you know, community level college or D2 school that only has a track team or only has a baseball team or whatever. So those players may get some type of financial perk, but I don't even know if it would hit the 6-figure mark, to be honest, because of just knowing how small those schools are.
And here's another thing that they changed that I didn't think about before. But Ed, did you know that when a kid goes to junior college, he has 4 years of eligibility left after he completes his 2 years of football, baseball, whatever, in junior college now?
That's the whole JUCO thing, isn't it, though?
Yeah. It used to be if you played 2 years in JUCO, you had 2 years of Division I or Division II or wherever.
Okay. Okay, I didn't realize they changed that.
Now you've got 2 years at JUCO, so you leave JUCO at 20. Now you've got 4 years at Division I if you choose to.
Yeah, and you could technically redshirt, which means you add another year onto that.
You know, you start seeing 25, 26-year-old men playing.
We've already seen that in a few guys.
Right, in a few guys, correct. But, I mean, you start, you know, with all those changes and stuff, I mean, I don't know. Do you think – I think one of the major changes that needs to be done is I think when it comes to the transfer portal, they need to limit that. And the reason I say limit that is we got guys that are playing for 4 or 5 teams in their college football career. You know, the argument before was, you know, kid comes to school, kid, you know, commits to school, and then coach leaves. And if he leaves the program, he's got to sit a year out. Coach doesn't have to sit a year out. He just leaves and goes coaches another school. Well, I understand that part of it. But what I'm saying is, how many times do coaches leave schools? You know, I mean, Iowa State has a brand new head coach. 10 years ago, for 10 years, we had the same one. You know, look at Iowa. Iowa's had virtually 2 coaches in my lifetime, Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz. So, yes, I get it. Coaches leave, but I think that argument got pushed way farther. I mean, okay, so your coach leaves, then if you transfer out, you do not have to sit a year. But if you transfer out, you should have to sit a year. Now I think with the money and how these kids are jumping, you got to limit it to maybe you can transfer once type of thing.
They just shared. I'd seen it on X.
I agree, Jay.
They just shared it earlier on X this evening. I've seen on I forget the player's name, but I want to say it's the quarterback that transferred to Washington. And then who was it that was trying?
He had a contract, Williams.
Right, but they had it written
Deshaun
into
Williams?
his NIL deal that wouldn't allow him to jump ship immediately and, really play the Tarzan vine to vine with the NIL deal game. So I think to that point, that's more of what we probably will see
But
in alignment with the whole restrictions, or we should if the schools are half worth their salt.
it sounds like, and I know Ed's brought this up before. Ed's talked about contracts. So it's going to be interesting to see, Ed, what happens, because here's this quarterback at Washington in his nil deal, basically signed a contract that he would be staying, and then enters the transfer portal. So now, Ed, what happens? What happens? I mean, Washington obviously is probably lowering up and doing something, but what happens?
Procedure stuff aside, I would say regardless, however they get into the specifics of the restrictions on it, the scheduling of it definitely needs to change, and that should be first and foremost at the top of the list, I'd say. Because, I mean, even beyond that part with the playoffs, we can say we dismiss all the secondary ancillary bowl games. You still have the playoffs period. Those teams are going to get punished if these kids are still deciding to transfer before they even finish the dang, season as a whole out with the team they're actively on. Like that's causing enough controversy in and of itself, I would say.
Well, and I use the example only because obviously he played for Iowa State, but Aisheem Young was safety for us. Phenomenal player his freshman year. Started as a true freshman. Was amazing. Enters the transfer portal. He has gone from let's see.
There's literally players that are doing what Stephon Diggs is doing right now as a professional, to your point, Eric. One year here, they get their contract, they go to the next school, and so on.
He played at ISU, transfers to Ole Miss, transfers to Memphis, and now he's entering the NFL draft. I mean, like that's so he started at Iowa State, has success, and then goes to Ole Miss. And then if he didn't play or things didn't work out there, whatever, he played 2 years at Ole Miss, 2 years at Iowa State. Then he plays at Memphis for a year. And then he jumped ship. He's going to the NFL, which, obviously they do. But it's like there was no loyalty there. There was no thank you, Matt Campbell, for bringing me into to Division I football or anything like that. He was just Gandhi. And the more these high school kids hear about this money and see this different stuff, guess what? There's zero loyalty. Ed comes to me, head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, and says, hey, we want you to play tight end. We're going to pay you $700,000. I'm going to say, oh, my God, Ed, you are my favorite person in the world. And then I do really well, and all of a sudden the backdoor channel calls come, and guess what? Somebody's offering me $1.2 million. I don't know if I can play in the NFL, but they just offered me $1.2 million. If I'm 20 years old and he says to me, $1.2 million, my loyalty only runs so deep. You know, whether Ed gave me the shot or not. My loyalty only runs so deep. So I make $500,000 at Iowa, and then I make $1.2 million at my next school. Hell, who's to say that the next school doesn't come calling and say, God, we can get you 1.5. Your numbers were phenomenal the year after you were at Iowa. You know, I mean, that's the type of stuff that we're dealing with. I mean, I've told you guys this before. And then, Ed, I don't know how you feel about it, but like college football has become so dirty to me. and I get it. The guys like, you know, the guys that are like, you know, they've been huge Texas fans and Notre Dame fans and Ohio State fans and Alabama fans or whatever. They're going to say, what's your problem? Wait, college football isn't any different. No, it's not any different for you because you're able to pay players. But those teams, and I was talking with Brett about Alabama, there's going to come a time where Nick Saban is in the rearview mirror a ways.
Yep.
And Alabama does not have Ohio State, Michigan, Texas Tech. They don't have that kind of money.
No.
So what happens to even those schools? Like right now, we're saying Alabama's still good. What happens to those schools when they start to lose a grip and all of a sudden Nick Saban doesn't mean a whole lot to anybody?
Yeah, Jay and Amy, that's the whole nother conversation on financial literacy. It doesn't pertain to
that's
the
a
show,
whole
but
other financial responsibility. But for essence of time, we probably need to move off this subject because this has become something bigger than the three of us could ever tackle. So
we don't have the answers. We better probably get to the games. We're already an hour and 5 minutes. The pick'ems. I don't even know how I'm going to pick them yet, but we'll see here. College football semifinals. Number 10 Miami, 12-2, is a 3.5-point favorite versus number 6 SEC Ole Miss, 13-1, in the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow night at 6:30. And I believe that game's on ESPN. So, do you want to pick them or do you want to evaluate the game a little bit, Ed?
Well, first off, do you think Lane Kiffin envisioned when he decided to let his coaches coach in these games that Ole Miss was going to still be there in the Final Four?
You know, I don't think, at least monetarily, Lane Kiffin cares. Lane Kiffin made $250,000 on the first win because LSU told him in their deal that they would compensate him because he had to deal with Ole Miss that if they won one game in the championship, it'd be $250,000. If they won the second game, that was $500,000 more. So Lane Kiffin has already put $750,000 worth of LSU money based on Ole Miss winning. And I would have to believe that if they win a semifinal game, it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000 to $750,000 Lane Kiffin puts in his pocket.
And the thing, too, is you've got a couple of your coaches that are going to be LSU coaches that are now in the Ole Miss system.
Yeah.
That, believe it or not, you know as well as I do, they're nonchalantly putting the plug in to become an LSU Tiger after the season.
Yeah.
So you got that going for you, too.
Yeah, you've basically that would be like LSU letting a couple Alabama coaches into their locker room for 3 weeks, however long it's been. I don't know when they were actually able to go back, but let's just say 3-4 weeks. I mean, wherever Ole Miss finishes up at, their players are going to jump into the portal, man, and all of a sudden you're going to see Ole Miss guys going to LSU. I can see it already. They can say for the look of it, for the whatever of it, that what Lane Kiffin did, he bailed on us and blah, 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 blah. And Pete Golding saying everything that he needs to say correctly. But you know there's players that know the second that Ole Miss is eliminated, they're going to the portal.
Right.
And some of those players are going to LSU. You know? And having those coaches in there that are going to be coaching at LSU next year, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know if I'd have let it happen.
So looking at this game, Miami's defense is really kind of drove their ship so far in this college playoffs. Do you think they're going to continue to lean on their defense to get past Ole Miss and make it to the championship?
I think this game comes down to a couple of things. On the Miami side, obviously, it's defense. And the second thing for Miami is if Carson Beck does what he did the last game, don't turn the ball over, make the plays you should make, then I think Miami wins this game. On the flip side, Ole Miss needs Chambliss to be Superman. He made some throws. He made some plays. I mean, he did some things in that last game where I was like, wow, that's a player. So it's going to come down to, I think it comes down to, quite frankly, Miami's defense versus Ole Miss and Chambliss. You know, can he put the Superman cape on a la Josh Allen? And will Ole Miss the championship? I mean, it could be a moot point if Carson Beck turns the ball over like we know he's capable of, but he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good in the last game. So I don't know. That's how I see it. How do you see it, Ed? What's the keys?
I know John David doesn't want to hear this, but I think Miami is going to make it to the championship game, and it's really going to erase all argument that Notre Dame had on making the playoffs. But I think, you know, they always say it's not always the best team that wins. It's the team who's playing the best.
Right.
And I think Miami has hit their stride. And so I fully think Miami's gonna come out on top of this one and make the championship game.
So Ed's got Miami, Brett's got Miami. What about you, KJ?
This one is a close matchup to call, no doubt. I think I don't know. For me, I compare how both of these teams have done, both in the playoffs through 2 rounds and looking back at their seasons. I mentioned to you, Eric, before we went live, I felt like I maybe didn't give enough credit to the Hurricanes when I looked back at their schedule. They had, large scoring margins over all their opponents, and I think that was just lost in the shuffle when I looked at who they played, because they were playing a large majority of, if not all, almost all of the bottom half of their ACC conference. And so I just wrote it off as, corresponding large margin, low opponent, whatever. But I think maybe they have more to them than we expected. But I'll say this, the purist in me who values integrity from coaches' standpoints, and I know, everybody's allowed to leave when they want to leave, but I hate seeing coaches leave early before a season's up. And I also am a proverbial, for the most part, underdog cheerleader. So I am rooting for the Rebels on this one.
Ooh, KJ's got Ole Miss. I've gone back and forth in this game, and my biggest thing is not whether the Miami defense is going to be good enough or whether Chambliss is going to play. Carson Beck is the biggest question to me. Like, can Carson Beck continue to play clean football? That's my biggest question mark is, can Carson Beck continue to play clean football? And my answer to that is yes, I'm taking the Hurricanes. Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Well, I gotta get a game back on you. I've only got a 1-game lead.
I'm just glad there's some differentiation between the two of us, because this whole picking the same opponents every game.
Ed likes to do this a lot. He likes to say, "Oh, there's Eric hedging his bets. He's got a 1-game lead, so he's going with Ole Miss with KJ." No, I'm praying to God that Carson Beck does not fall apart and throw 2 or 3 interceptions and give Ole Miss the game. That's what I'm hoping for. So we shall see.
We shall.
Semifinal game number 2 on Friday at 6:30. Pitt's number 5 Oregon 13-1 versus number 1 Indiana 14-0. Indiana is a 3.5-point favorite at the Peach Bowl, a rematch from earlier in the year where I believe Indiana won 30-20. To me, I mean, I'm a huge Hoosiers fan. Like I bleed Hoosier, man. So clearly I'm taking Indiana. Brett's got Indiana, and so does Chad. Chad's had Indiana at number 1 for 3 months, so he's got to go Indiana. KJ, who you got?
Man, I as I said, I'm a purist. I think we saw with the Texas Tech game the difference between, yes, a NIL-funded recruitment board can buy you a conference championship, but it can't always buy you a national championship. And so for me, I'm going to just stick with the purist mindset in this pick and say that Indiana should and does deserve their Cinderella story.
Jeez, Ed, KJ's just hedging his bet here.
I want to see Indiana win it, but I wouldn't be upset if Oregon won it either because I like both coaches. I think that
and Dan Lanning's been close. He's been close.
Oh yeah, and both teams represent their head coach, no doubt. And so I was the only thing that bums me out is I would have liked to have seen Oregon and Indiana be in opposite brackets so that it could be an all Big Ten final. That's what I was hoping.
Can we just take a 1 moment break here? And I have to give John David a little grace this week because I know we always give this guy shit for being a Notre Dame fan. But if anyone's paying attention to this comment feed on our show tonight, they'll notice that the stereotypical notion of all Bama fans, whether you're a Tigers or a Crimson Tide fan, is abundantly true. And that is they have to be the most narcissistic fan bases on the planet because even when the playoffs are about them, they're making it all about them, bitching back and forth in the comment feed. So I'm just going to thank you, Brett.
I forgot to mention
like a bunch of rabid chihuahuas. It's ridiculous.
I forgot to mention Big Mike's got Ole Miss. John David has Ole Miss by 50. I think we know why he made that pick. Jay's got Ole Miss by 3. Let's see. And then Marty's got Miami by 10. John David's got Indiana. Big Mike's got Indiana. Marty's got Indiana. So Indiana's got the sweep. I'm assuming you took Indiana, Ed. You kind of got a little flighty there at the end, but you're taking Indiana.
Yeah. I got Indiana. Indiana.
Yeah. So, like I said, Indiana's. I'm with you, Ed. I don't care which one wins, really. I just think Kurt Signetti right now is like I think he's got a real chance to make his name, and winning a title for Indiana, my Hoosiers, would be huge. I forgot to tell you guys, I entered the transfer portal as a fan, and I was picked up by Indiana. So, it just that's the way it goes. I can't help it. I decided I wasn't happy where I was at with football program, so I entered the transfer portal. Now I'm an Indiana Hoosier football fan. I don't know. It happens. Apparently, it happens in college football. It can happen with fans too. So, so that's where we're at. So that covers our college. We got our picks. They're locked in stone. Nobody changes anything. But when we come back, we are going to get into a huge NFL slate for this weekend with my Bears finally being a part of that. So we'll be right back. Well, after Black Monday, gentlemen, and what turned out to be, I don't know what the name would be for Tuesday, but obviously the head coach hunt begins for, what do we have, 7 teams now total? After Black Monday, we had this guy, Jonathan Gannon, and the Arizona Cardinals are parting ways. I think, can we all agree that Kyler Murray is probably done in Arizona?
I think that's pretty safe to say.
I would think that's probably very safe to say. So, but Jonathan Gannon lost his job. Even after making a run at the end of the year and helping out Tampa Bay, the Atlanta Falcons have parted ways with Raheem Morris. They were probably – I honestly thought Atlanta would be pushing Tampa Bay all season long and could have potentially went over them. I think we found out that Michael Penix, of all the quarterbacks in that class, I think Michael Penix – I mean, you could argue Michael Penix was the worst one out of that class. Would anybody agree with that? I mean, I know I bag on J.J. McCarthy a lot, but I think you can make a pretty good argument that Penix is the weakest out of that class.
And I think you're also seeing out of Atlanta that they're already starting to lose their commitment to him as well. I think they're going to be looking for quarterback in the draft again.
But the problem is,
or if not, not the draft, it could be a free agent.
Yeah, Mac Jones, maybe somebody along those lines. News out of Cleveland. Cleveland is parting ways with Kevin Stefanski, and I can tell you this much. Out of the coaches so far, Kevin Stefanski is not going to not have a job for very long. In fact, until yesterday, I would say he would have been the top candidate. I mean, Cleveland's a dumpster fire. He has Cleveland's only 2 playoff wins in years, So I don't think Kevin Stefanski is going to be without a job very long. Pete Carroll, I think that was probably doomed from the start. I thought the Raiders would be a little bit better, but I think
the minute they went with Geno Smith as the starting quarterback, right there, that tells you that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, it was game over for Pete Carroll and the Raiders. The big one, and I think we debated this a little bit on the show, and this happened yesterday, and I think this pushes Kevin Stefanski down to the number 2 slot as far as coaches available. John Harbaugh. Are we shocked by this decision coming out of Baltimore, Ed?
Does this mean that the Baltimore franchise ownership took Lamar Jackson over John Harbaugh? Because let's face it, for some time now, you've been hearing rumblings that John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson weren't seeing eye to eye. And with John Harbaugh being given his walking papers, there was thoughts that Lamar Jackson, what was true, what's not true. I guess you can, pick and choose who you want to believe. But Lamar Jackson was being rumored to not have the best franchise quarterback
Tendencies,
let's say. The fact that they still appear to have chosen Lamar Jackson over John Harbaugh.
Well,
I would say it's pretty obvious that Lamar Jackson's not going anywhere.
I think, and KJ, you may think differently, but I think Lamar Jackson is from all the articles that I've read, is truly beloved in Baltimore. They love it. Now, his playoff failures, obviously, but he is a good quarterback. Now, has he lost a step? I think so.
I would say from a longevity standpoint, he would, which I mean, he made efforts to do that in his third year in the league, second or third year in the league, with making the kind of true intentionality to be more pocket poised and be a passing quarterback, and stand in there and deliver the ball rather than just run around like a wannabe Johnny Manziel. I would agree with you. I think that would be something he'd have to get back to in order to greater, I'd say, solidify his, I don't know if it's brand power, credibility, whatever, drafts, trade stock, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I think we've seen the chinks in his armor enough to know how he can get exposed year in and year out and be more easily beaten than other guys, maybe. So
right. I think the problem, I think the reason that Baltimore decided, and they said it was a lengthy meeting. I think John Harbaugh probably walked into the meeting and there was no intention of letting him go. But throughout the course of the meeting, he probably answered questions or probably said things where, the ownership group, whoever was in the meeting said, I think it's probably time we just part ways. There's two things that I see. One, John Harbaugh is not an offensive coordinator. He's not a defensive coordinator. I think he's the only special teams coordinator to be a head coach in the NFL at the current time. He's a culture guy, okay? And Super Bowl winning coach. But don't you think, and if Chad was here, you know what Chad would say. Quarterback and coach have been together for more than 5 years. No shot of winning the Super Bowl. That's just history. That's just fact. But after 18 years, Ed, and Baltimore's been good, but they just have not been able to, get to the mountain. Don't you think that after 18 years, maybe, the motivation, he's always been called a player's coach. Maybe the discipline got a little out of control. You watch Ravens games at times and they get stupid penalties, they undisciplined type of stuff. Maybe it was just time that he had to go. I mean, if the example I give is, okay, as a Bears fan, when I see at the end of in the locker room at the end of the game and Ben Johnson's doing his good, better, best. Okay, it's year one. I like that. But what if Ben Johnson in year 12 is still doing that? Does it resonate the same way as it did year 1 or even year 2? Does it resonate, Ed, with the players? I mean, what could John Harbaugh say to the players now that they haven't heard 100 times, 500 times?
Yeah, I agree. In a way, they talk about Tomlin saving his job again too by winning this last week. And I say, really?
Yeah.
For the very reason that you were going to get rid of him when they lost to Baltimore. What changed by one missed field goal that's going to change the narrative for next year?
Yeah, that seems highly short-sighted on ownership's part, I would say. I think, I mean, nitpick the discipline component all you want, I guess. We didn't even get the opportunity, to your original point, Eric, to see what final decision John would make if it was coming down to, maybe this was the offseason. He was going to go, you know what? I've given Lamar enough chances. We need to move on and figure out some type of other scheme to put him in. I don't know if that's for sure what they were going to do or not. But it's like maybe that's what ruffled the feathers of ownership enough to go, well, we don't want to cause a mutiny in our fan base. So they said, let's get the excuse to can the guy and move on. It's what's so ironically funny about this is the timing. It's bad for him, obviously. And I think in the long run, I think we'll say, at least for the next couple of seasons, it'll be bad for Baltimore, personally, I would say. But I would say also, too, if we progress through the remainder of this playoff this year and you see something like, I'm biased, but God forbid, the Bills don't make it to the championship round and even the Super Bowl, that further supports Chad's notion of, every QB head coach pairing has a certain window of opportunity to do something. And if they don't, they're SOL. Like Baltimore could have been making that transition with the good leader in place who's proven their track record. And, I can't really put the words any more eloquently than Tony Dungy did in terms of recapping his resume. I think they may live to regret this choice. I don't know. But
I guess my thought process is, okay, you get rid of a coach like John Harbaugh. Who do you turn to? I've heard Brian Flores' name kicked around, Ed. Because let's face it, John Harbaugh is not going, if he chooses to, he's going to have a job. And Big Mike, several teams are interested. What's funny is he got calls from 7 teams. Well, there's only 7 job openings open, and one of them is Baltimore, from which he got fired from. So that means he was contacted by a team that currently has a head coach. Could that be your Buffalo Bills, or could that be who knows? I think it would be Rich.
If that doesn't scream, we really believe in hiring you, we're going to talk to you before we fired our HC. I don't know what.
Well, but listen, you know as well as I do. And Buffalo, in my opinion, on the AFC side, got probably the worst draw for where they're at. Jacksonville's playing good football. They're a tough football team. And if McDermott loses in the first round, the wild card round, no Lamar, no Mahomes, and no Burrow, maybe Buffalo made that call. Maybe Buffalo says, hey, John, don't do anything until we figure out how this season goes. Are you interested in coming to coach Josh Allen?
That would be so
cool. Seriously.
Yeah. So
there's a team out there with a head coach that inquired about him. Here's another one. What about Matt LaFleur with Green Bay? Had the NFL not expanded the playoff system, the Packers would be on a 4-year playoff drought. Maybe, and the Packers president has changed. I had the name in my head. You know the name of the former president? His son took over. I don't know. It's irrelevant. But anyway, there's been a change in president because obviously the Packers are owned not by a owner or anything like that. Maybe Matt LaFleur's head is on the chopping block. I mean, Jordan Love, for all that Packers fans want to tell you that Jordan Love is amazing, he's never won 11 games.
This is the magical season, though.
Yeah.
With, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers that, this is supposed to be the year that, Jordan Love's 27.
But could Matt LaFleur be that guy? I mean, Henry could be Miami. Could be Miami. But who knows? Could be Dallas, Jay. You never know. But I mean, if you really look at two playoff coaches, McDermott would be one, and LaFleur would be another one that I would look at. I can't see John Harbaugh being fired by Baltimore and then going to Pittsburgh. How weird would that be?
Yeah.
That would be like Matt LaFleur getting fired and going to Chicago or Minnesota. So I don't think that's probably the case, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with John Harbaugh simply because, he's a huge name. And if he wants a job, he's going to have a job. There's not one team out there that is not going to kick the tires on John Harbaugh. Not one. He will pick where he coaches the next time. There's no question about it. Anything else on the coaches? We still have Tennessee and help me out, Ed. Who's the seventh team?
Todd Bowles was let go too, wasn't he?
Yes. So those are the teams with vacancies. Let's get rid of that. Let's go to we kind of covered that. Ed, you included this one. As I just mentioned, is Brian Flores potentially a candidate in Baltimore? He fits their MO. Baltimore loves defense. Flores is a good D coordinator. Could he be a potential, or is Flores still under the proverbial blackball, not blackball?
I think he's probably worked his way out of the blackball status.
Mark Murphy, thank you, Joel, former Green Bay president.
But I think that Brian Flores, it's probably time that he gets a shot. I don't think that Minnesota's probably going to give him the bag that they should give him to hold on to him. I think he's probably going to be moving on, but that creates a big void in Minnesota's team that's another discussion for another day. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I think Brian Flores is, if I was a bet man, I'd say he's definitely a goner.
I think he's probably gone too. KJ, do you have an opinion on it? I think he's gone.
I wouldn't know his particulars that well enough. I would agree to say he's gone only just because I know of Minnesota's history and what they've seen in terms of their greatness level when it comes to defensive potential. I don't know. That's just me, though.
Jay, I would say Dan Quinn. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think Dan Quinn is on the hot seat because I think Washington, they had a great run last year to the NFC Championship, losing to Philadelphia, and injuries just kind of sidetracked their entire season.
Yeah,
I don't think Dan Quinn's on the hot seat.
I think when Washington loses their quarterback from the get-go, and he's pretty much been gone for the exception of a few games all season.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to fire a head coach based on that.
Yeah. I would say Dan Quinn's safe.
But, one of the things that Brett brought up early on Daniels was the fact that he didn't have the frame to make it in the NFL as far as staying out of injury problems.
I think Brett said 20 or 30 pounds of muscle. They better put on that kid or he's going to get beat up.
Yep, and I think it's pretty much coming to fruition. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
We can talk about other quarterbacks that haven't been able to stay healthy, right?
What's the best contribution you can make to your team? Availability.
That's right. The best ability is availability.
Yep, that's right. I'm just going to go with the Minnesota theme, Ed, and I'm just going to keep running it here. J.J. McCarthy's alter ego is 9. Has it fallen out of favor with his teammates in Minnesota? Listen, I could fill up 20 minutes telling you why I never believed that J.J. McCarthy was going to be a good NFL quarterback. And, Ed, I know you had to be in the camp of J.J. McCarthy is going to be good because he's playing for your team. But I'll let you guys discuss whether you think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a good quarterback or not.
Well, Ben Lieber is a former linebacker for the Vikings, a very good player, and I know he's still a part of their media in Minneapolis. He wasn't too happy after the Viking game against Green Bay. Minnesota got the opening kickoff, drove right down the field, looking like they was going to have a touchdown drive, only to see J.J. McCarthy get hit going out of bounds. J.J. decided that he wanted to show his prowess on a defensive guy and got a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that knocked their drive to settling for 3 points, and they were lucky. But Ben Lieber comes out, former linebacker, and he says about J.J. McCarthy and the way J.J. seems to have this alter ego. I don't love the theatrics. I don't love the optics. With his injury history, this is the last thing he needs to put out there. If you're a quarterback with a reputation for being injury prone, you don't add drama. You push through or you start losing trust fast.
Facts.
Good words.
I mean, does that not sum it up in a nutshell?
Yeah. I'll be honest here. This is the one thing about J.J. McCarthy that has surprised me. I mean, when I looked at him in college, he didn't throw the ball particularly a lot. He could sit behind that Michigan offensive line, and they ran the ball. They ran 60 plays. They ran it 45 times. So that's where I was coming from. But this whole 9 and, just the way he carries himself and stuff, like, to me.
Do you think that was a shtick that just went wrong? I mean,
I think you could be right, but I think he's compensating. I think he's compensating for the fact that right now this game may be a little too much for him. Like he says, I don't love the theatrics. That's exactly it. To me, it looks like he's, I'm not J.J. McCarthy. I'm 9, the faces and stuff that he has. And I'm just like, it looks like he's compensating for the fact he's trying to show how tough and how whatever he is when he's really not. And the game is a little bit too much for him and those types of things. I mean, he's taking hits that he doesn't need to take. He's doing the dumb stuff out of bounds, getting the 15-yarder. Like he's trying to show them how tough he is when in reality, I don't know. I mean, he's not a big quarterback. What is JJ? 6'1"? 6 foot, 6'1", Ed?
Yeah, he may be 6'2", but I think more than anything, there was a lot of hype with J.J. McCarthy in year one. And I think when he went down with his season-ending injury, maybe that's when all this shtick was invented. It was just his way of remaining relevant and staying in the news. And this year it just got taken over the top, because do you really, as a leader of your team, a quarterback, leader of your team, do you really want the camera when it's on you to look like you're a freaking psycho?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would prefer my quarterback to just look confident and in control, not look like a raging psycho who's about ready to lose it.
And then, you know, after you pick a fight on the sideline and basically ruin a drive, meeting all your teammates coming off the field after the drive and apologizing for, sorry, man, that's my bad. That's my bad. Well, I agree with Ben Lieber. After a while, it just rings hollow. It's just,
well, it's like, you look at a quarterback like Josh Allen.
Stupid.
Well, yeah, but you look at a quarterback like Josh Allen. You know, he runs hard, but he's also like 6'5", 6'6", 250 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh Allen hits a guy, he pops up and he's back in. Josh Allen is more of the guy like, hey, I just took that hit and I jogged right back to the huddle, no big deal. He doesn't get in a guy's face. He doesn't show him up. He just hits him and he's right back to the huddle. I feel like it's a compensation or a coping mechanism that he is using to make up for inadequacies in
well,
him.
It's never a shtick that you saw in college. I mean, I can't.
No, that's what I mean.
I can't ever say that I saw him with this kind of an alter ego in college.
No, it's
and
just,
he really didn't even have it. I mean, when he first, as a rookie with the Vikings, he never had a lack of confidence. I will say that. But he seemed to take that confidence once he was gone for the season, and he come back this year. It was almost like he had to prove relevancy heading into the second year, and this was the shtick that he had to come up with to do it. And
yeah.
I just think it backfires, because every time you get hurt, and now, you know, with his latest injury, and they went ahead and they put him out there the final game of the regular season, only for him to get hurt again and be taken out of the game, I think really sealed his fate, because Minnesota knows going into next year, they can't leave themselves exposed like they did this year.
And it was bad.
I mean, once again, they bring in Brosmer as their backup quarterback.
Carson Wentz before he got hurt.
So, I mean, I think at the very least, it shows that he is going to be – he's going to have to fight for his position, because I think that they will bring somebody in during the offseason, not of the Carson Wentz caliber or
Well,
you know.
What about what Jay says here? Mac Jones, Huntley, Malik Willis. What if they bring in Malik Willis to compete for the job?
I think the ship sailed on Huntley.
I think so too. I think Mac Jones.
I mean,
and Malik
Huntley, I
Willis
think,
are
has
gonna
shown
be-
what his ceiling is. I don't think there's a whole lot meat left on the bone for him. Malik Willis, you can give him the benefit of the doubt that when he was with the Titans, he just
Here we
had a
go.
poor coaching staff, so he wasn't really supported.
Uncle Phil's available. Philip
Speaking
Rivers.
from a place of bias again, but seeing him play this past weekend, Trubisky legit made his case for why he could be a journeyman plug somewhere. I'm saying.
So obviously, I have a little knowledge on Mitch Trubisky.
That you do, yes. I say he spent some time in Chi-Town.
And you know, I don't blame everything on.
Speaking of trading up in the first round.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's not get into that. But Mitch Trubisky
I know.
is a better quarterback than what he got out of his coaches in Chicago. I have no doubt about that. I'd still believe that. But I think with a lot of quarterbacks, I think it's all about system. I think certain quarterbacks are built for this type of system or that type of system or that type of system. And if they don't ever catch on with the system that actually fits their abilities and what they're able to process or the throws they're able to make or whatever it is,
Right.
they're never able to really make it go. And if this year hasn't proven that, we all wrote off Mac Jones. He was terrible. He's a bust. And then he comes in and keeps San Francisco right in the mix when Brock Purdy gets hurt. Daniel Jones, total bust, terrible. Get rid of him. And until he got hurt, he had Indianapolis right in the mix. We talk about Sam Darnold. He goes 14-3 with Minnesota last year, and he's 14-3 with Seattle again this year, and has won the big games he couldn't last year. And what I tried to tell Ed last year was, I know Sam Darnold's not a rookie, but when it comes to play, he hasn't played in a big game since he was at USC. But they wanted to crucify him. Well, then Sam Darnold's gone to Minnesota, and now Minnesota's in a total dumpster fire when it comes to quarterback. And Sam Darnold's number 1 seed with Seattle.
But you look at Minnesota's situation now. If they bring a quarterback in the offseason, to me it almost has to be a slam dunk. The player you bring in is the starting quarterback, no doubt. Joe Burrow, that caliber of a quarterback, because with J.J. McCarthy as 9, you bring in somebody like Mac Jones and you tell them, okay, J.J. McCarthy, Mac Jones, you guys are competing for the starting job. You think there was theatrics now. What do you think is going to happen between now and beginning of next season?
I would venture to say that if Minnesota brought Mac Jones in, or, as Jay said, Malik Willis, I think that would be your starting quarterback. Point blank, end of story. I mean,
you would have to announce that, though. You would have to say, Mac Jones is coming in. Mac Jones is our starter. It's his job. It's his job to lose, because if you bring him in and say, yeah, he's going to compete with J.J. McCarthy, I mean, I just don't see that. I just don't.
That could be the case. And maybe that motivates McCarthy for his professional life. I don't know. But you could also see it go the other way, where JJ, because I obviously didn't know the guy not that I personally know him, but didn't know him as a player like I thought I knew him as a player with this whole 9 crap and stuff like that. But if you brought Mac Jones and Malik Willis in, I think they would kill him, because those two operate as professional quarterbacks. Now, is Mac Jones limited in his ability to move out of the pocket and move around in the pocket? Yeah, sure he is. Is Malik Willis limited on the throws he can make? Yeah, but he's very strong with his feet. He escapes the pocket well. He moves well. I think J.J. McCarthy would be no better, probably a little worse than Malik Willis throwing the ball. And, scramble-wise, Malik Willis can do that. And I think Mac Jones would blow him out of the water throwing the football. So, I mean, but how Minnesota would want to handle it, that I don't know. Would they say, hey, Minnesota signed Mac Jones and he's the starting quarterback for 2026? I don't. That would take a lot. That would be a hard pill to swallow for Kevin O'Connell, because J.J. McCarthy was his guy. And that's all we heard was J.J. McCarthy's our guy. He's our guy. He's our guy. He's our guy. And now all of a sudden Kevin O'Connell's got to go to the podium and say, we signed Mac Jones last week, and Going forward, he's the starter in 2026. He's not going to follow it up with, because I really screwed this J.J. McCarthy thing up. That's a tough thing. I mean,
no coach ever.
Yeah, and Minnesota.
Here's the next question. Then, if you're going to bring in a Mac Jones or somebody like that, do you just go ahead and move J.J. McCarthy?
I think you got to. I don't think the atmosphere within the clubhouse, if you will, is going to be a good one. Because here's the deal. J.J. McCarthy got hurt in preseason his rookie year. So really that's not his rookie year. This was his rookie year. Mm-hmm. Minnesota ends up winning 8 games, or not 9 games, right? 8 games. What'd they win, Ed? What was their final record? 9-8?
Yep.
Yeah. They had a winning record. If I'm J.J. McCarthy, I'm saying, look, this is basically my rookie season. We went 9-8, and you're telling me to kick rocks? Hey, you're bringing this Mac Jones dude in here?
Yeah, but you can turn right around and you can say, okay, the Vikings finished 9-8, but what did J.J. McCarthy really have to do with that record?
But listen, the only player that gets attached to wins and losses is the quarterback. Like, I don't say, during Brian Urlacher's career, they had a record of, 70-70. But when it comes to quarterbacks, they don't say, so attached, it's a quarterback stat. Wins and losses are attached to the quarterback, period. Right. So good, bad, or ugly, we can evaluate it. And I agree with you. I don't think J.J. McCarthy had a whole lot to do with it. But nonetheless, it's a quarterback stat. So if I'm J.J. McCarthy, I can say, listen, it was my rookie year. I know what I need to work on. And you're telling me to kick rocks after my rookie year, and we were 9-8? Of that 9-8, J.J. McCarthy was what, 5-4? So the injury part of it, I guess if they wanted to take out the, you can't stay healthy, if they want to take that angle, I don't know. I just think that you could pretty much, if you brought Mac Jones in, or you brought him Malik Willis in or whatever, if it's not a bona fide like Joe Burrow type, you just will get rid of J.J. McCarthy because it's over. It's over. His alter ego number 9 is going to turn into alter ego chicken shit. Like, he's going to be done. He just will be.
You're getting me depressed. What else do we got?
Well, I'm just, it's kind of, I think it's just kind of the way it's going to go. So here we are. Wild card weekend. There's our matchups for Saturday. You got the Rams at Carolina, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central on Fox. And the NFL is extremely, extremely lucky that they did not put my Chicago Bears on Peacock. It is on Prime Video. Thank God I have Prime Video, because if I didn't, I'd be losing my mind and probably buying it. But Green Bay and Chicago at 7 Eastern, or 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Saturday. Sunday games start off with a noon game, 1 Eastern game, Buffalo and Jacksonville. Let's talk about that game for a little bit, KJ, since you're here. I think, and I'm already going to make my pick 'em. I don't know if Joel is still on, but Joel, if you're paying attention, I know how big a game this is for Buffalo, for Josh Allen. We've already said it. No Lamar, no Burrow, no Mahomes. But this might be the worst Buffalo team overall in the last 4 or 5 years. even when they were bringing guys back like A.J. Klein to fill in at their linebackers and stuff in that playoff run they had, if Josh Allen cannot throw the Superman cape on and do it all, convince me, KJ, that Buffalo can win this game, because I'm taking Jacksonville, and I mean, convince me that Buffalo can win this game, because I know you're taking Buffalo. So tell me why they're going to win.
I think they have to bring the right assortment of scheme plays. Guys like Coleman have to actually contribute to the bottom line, in the air. Obviously, the defense, the run defense that's been practically non-existent all season, has to actually come alive and do something. Those would be the biggest things off the rip that I know have been, some of Buffalo's biggest critique points and weak points, if you will, when you look at the team as a whole. Stupid errors. Obviously, there were games like when they played Miami on the road, a game that we should have easily won, and they were just not in their element. You hope that the stigma rings true, which it seems to typically do, especially in the pros, that everybody brings their A game for the most part in the playoffs. But I mean, that even more so needs to ring true for them, because they are the underdog in this matchup.
You're not convincing me. You're not convincing. I mean, Ed, did he convince you to take Buffalo in this game right there?
No,
I haven't watched enough of the Jags, but I mean, honestly, the way they've played, I know has been good, and I mean, I'm scared enough, to your point, with their kicker. Like, I can't even sit here and say Josh Allen just has to do his part and has to keep up with the score and they'll win this game. Like, you can't even say that in that standpoint, because they've got a bomb leg for a kicker. This is one of those games, like I said, I think if they're going to win, it's truly going to be miraculous, in the sense that everything's going to have to go right almost.
I agree with you on that point. I think it has to go right for them.
That's the only way you can put it.
But the thing is, and Ed, you know this, because you've been around longer than all of us, this is my favorite weekend of the playoffs. And you say, what? It's not the championship weekend or whatever? No. Because this weekend, on 2 or 3 of these teams, a player is going to go off. A player is going to say, not my team and not today. We don't know who it is. I pray to baby Jesus that it's one of my Bears that has the game of his life. It says we're not losing today. But that's and we could sit here and pick these games and say, for sure this team's winning, for sure this team's winning. And it could all go. I mean, honest to God, you could see on the NFC side, you could see the 7, 6, and 5 all win. I hate to say that, but you could. You could easily see the 7, 6, and 5 all win. It's that wide open. I give the nod to the NFC side, as far as I think, it's going to be a tougher road to get through the NFC. But I mean, I think it's going to be a crazy weekend, and it's going to be those players that step up and say, not my team, not today. I mean, but I think out of the AFC draws for Buffalo, I think Jacksonville is probably the toughest draw right now, with at least how they're playing. Now, Jacksonville could come out and lay an egg. Buffalo could come out and lay an egg. You just never know. But I think as far as right now, the snapshot right now, that is the toughest draw that Buffalo could have got. I would have more faith if Buffalo was playing New England than I do playing Jacksonville right now. Jacksonville, and I think Jay put it on there, they've held every team to under 70 yards rushing. So, Jay's a big Buffalo fan. Cook has to have a big day. They got to establish the run game somehow. Well, can they against a team that doesn't allow too many rush yards? It's going to be tough, So San Fran goes to Philadelphia, the 3:30 game or the 4:30 game, and the Chargers are at the Patriots. And then, of course, the Texans face the Steelers in Pittsburgh. We'll see if that one's a clean sweep. I think it, probably will be. But, nope, Henry's got Pittsburgh, so it's not a clean sweep. But I think because of time constraints, Ed. Oh, I wanted to put this up there for you, Ed. Minnesota has the 18th slot in the 26 draft order. You guys went on a stupid 5-game winning streak.
5-game winning streak.
Took yourself out of a top 10 pick, clear down to the bottom pick that didn't make the playoffs.
And what happens to the Kansas City Chiefs?
They go
minute
6-11.
They get eliminated from the playoffs. They go into complete tank mode, and now they got the 9th pick.
Yep. Smart. Yep. So that is and some of the familiar faces: Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Giants, Browns. I mean, they're all right back there in the top. And except for Glenn, so far at the Jets, they're all looking for coaches too. So I think that covers. Oh, I want to give a shout out quick to Myles Garrett. Broke Strahan's single season record on a sack very similar to Strahan's sack on Brett Favre. It looked a little bit different. Burrow did kind of bump into his offensive lineman and kind of felt the pressure where, Favre just fell down and said, "Here you go, Strahan. Here's your record." But congratulations to Myles Garrett. Outside of that, I think we just will get to the picks. Don't you think, Ed?
I think so.
Time? I think everybody else has already done their picks, I think. But anyway, we'll pick the first game. Rams, 12-5 at Carolina. Just laugh saying this. 8-9. The first game on Saturday. The Rams are a 10.5-point favorite. Now, a caveat to this game. The last 4 weeks, the Rams defense has not been the same. And the Rams offense has showed at times that it's not running on all cylinders. I think that's why a lot of people have started to look at Seattle as being the favorite out of the NFC, but they've lost some of their mojo. So does that mean that Carolina sneaks up and beats the Rams in the wild card round?
No, it does not.
No, it does not.
In fact, I'm probably going to be mowing the lawn by halftime.
Yeah. Chad has the Rams. I'm taking the Rams. I'm assuming Ed is taking the Rams.
Yeah.
KJ?
Rams.
That's what I thought. Jay's got the Rams. I got to clear back here. Big Mike is taking Carolina, so it is not a clean sweep. Henry's got the Rams. Make sure I cover them all. I mean, kudos for going out on a limb. Next game, the biggest game of the weekend. Bar none. A rivalry game, a divisional game in the playoffs. And all I pray to God is I don't have to listen to Packers fans all year long about, oh, well, we beat you in the playoffs. Oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. So Chad's got, with that being said, Chad's got Green Bay. KJ, who you taking?
The Bears.
Ed?
I got to say, Eric, I'm not – the last couple of weeks, as much as I want to see the Chicago Bears beat the Packers out because The Packers losing in the first round would be like the biggest post-Christmas present I could ever hope for. But Chicago just right now doesn't look good. They're just not looking good. So I'm taking Green Bay.
Okay, now I went last on this one on purpose.
Well, what
Has anybody looked at the weather report in Chicago?
Supposed to be 30-mile-an-hour winds.
30-mile-an-hour winds. Okay. Chicago runs the ball better. We saw what happened to a lot of Jordan Love's ball before he got knocked out of the game the last time at Soldier Field. Chad's already got the reverse gank going with Green Bay. I got to take Chicago. Based on the weather report. I have been looking at the weather report for the last 7 days, and I'm just like, just keep that wind going. Keep that wind going. We'll run the ball. Third and fourth quarter, we'll get them worn down, and we'll be good. Green Bay doesn't run the ball as well. That's all I'm going off of. That's all I can hope for.
Just remember, Williams hasn't shown that he is a deadly accurate passer. So
how's the wind going to affect him? It may help him. Be positive, Ed.
Okay.
Be positive, Ed. Come on.
You're positive. Okay.
Better go. Let's see. Big Mike's got the Bears. Henry's got the Bears. And Jay took Green Bay. God, Jay. Come on, man. Next game, Buffalo 12-5 is a 1.5 favorite at Jacksonville 13-4. The noon game on Sunday. Chad is taking Jacksonville. KJ, I'm assuming you're taking your Bills.
Man, it's the final season that they got to play in Highmark. You could not ask for a better field slate of competition in the playoffs amongst kryptonite QBs, I guess you could call it. If any year is going to be they're going to do it, it's going to be this one. Sadly, I think if they can't get it done this season, I don't know if Josh Allen will get a Super Bowl. He might be the next Phillip Rivers. Give me the Bills.
I'm taking Jacksonville because KJ did not convince me to take the Bills. Ed, who you got?
I got Jacksonville too. I mean, Jacksonville's on a roll. They've just been taking care of business. I mean, going into Denver, I mean, it just seems like about the time you think Jacksonville's going to be Jacksonville, the same old Jacksonville, they put a quality game together. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is playing arguably his best football of his career right now. So I think Jacksonville is gonna win this game.
Someone needs to just sneak into Trevor Lawrence's locker room or his bedroom at night and shave his head. And it'll be the most epic biblical-like fallout of a Samson-like failure of Trevor Lawrence just shitting the game to death. That'll be the score.
Henry's got the Bills. Big Mike's got Jacksonville. I'm assuming Jay is taking the Bills. Yeah, I'm going Buffalo, but I'm nervous. Gonna have to run the ball and get pressure on Lawrence. You are correct, Jay. Next game. Another big game. Not the biggest game, but another big game. 49ers, 12-5 at Philadelphia, 11-6. Philly is a 4.5-point favorite. Chad has Philly. KJ, who you got?
I'm going with the Eagles on that one.
Ed?
This is my upset pick of the week. I just don't think Philadelphia has played the caliber of football that it takes, especially heading into the playoffs. And so what makes everybody so sure that Philly's going to be able to win? So, San Francisco, you could argue that they've been playing some of their best football of the season with the exception of this last weekend. But Brock Purdy is kind of on a hot streak since he come back off injury. So I say this is the upset of the weekend. I'm taking San Francisco over Philadelphia.
This game has a really good defense on Philly's side and a really good offense on the 49ers side. And it has a really crappy offense on the Philly side and a really crappy defense on the 49ers side. So I think the first team to 21 points wins this game. And if I ask myself who has the best chance to score 21 points, I think it's San Francisco. Give me San Francisco. Let's see. What's our pick'ems got? Jay's got the Niners. Henry's got the Niners. And Big Mike has the Eagles. The last game on Sunday, Chargers 11-6 at New England 14-3. New England is a 3.5-point favorite. Chad has New England. I also have New England. Ed, who you got?
I got New England as well. I think that Jim Harbaugh had a good year with the Chargers for his first year, but I think giving him another offseason to tweak his roster means bigger and better things for the Chargers next year. But I think this year making it is a tribute to him and the caliber of his coaching. But I think they're one and done. So give me New England.
Big Mike's got New England. Henry's got the Chargers. And Jay's got the Pats. Who you got, KJ?
Definitely Pats on this one.
Almost a clean sweep, except for Henry. Last game. Monday night.
New England too?
Chad took New England, yep.
Okay.
Last game, Houston. 12-5, 3-point favorite at Pittsburgh, 10-7 on Monday Night Football. Chad's got Houston. Who do you got, KJ, besides Houston?
I've heard a lot of people talk some smack about this alleged Monday Night Football win streak. First off, that doesn't include historically playoff games, okay? So throw your little win streak in the garbage because it doesn't effing matter. 2, you've got Captain Geriatric that, yeah, okay, he's had a little bit of Irish luck this regular season. But you can have your TJ Watt, will raise you, CJ Anderson and company, and Aaron Rodgers is going to narrowly avoid another career-ending injury if he's lucky Monday night when the Houston Iron Curtain comes down on his ass. So Texans all the way.
Ed, did you say you're taking Houston?
I am taking Houston as well. I think Pittsburgh, I don't know, they've kind of become notorious for losing playoff games at home. So as much as it shocked me last week, I mean, I would almost bet my house that Baltimore was going to win that game.
Yeah.
So to see Pittsburgh win that game, kudos to them. But Pittsburgh doesn't have the best record here in the last 4, 5, 6 years in playoff games. So I think Houston comes in and not only beats them, but beats them pretty easily. I think it's not going to be that close. It may start off close, but I think Houston will pull away.
I don't even think CJ has to play at his full potential this game, honestly. I think he just needs to be a good game manager and let Pittsburgh make their own mistakes, essentially, and let the defense do what it's done all 3/4 of the latter part of this season, and we'll have it done.
The most difficult thing about this game, I think, is they know where Aaron Rodgers is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, he's on the X, and those guys are going to be coming for that X. But
they're going, we want your discount, double check.
Right. But I will tell you, this to me looks like one of the more obvious games, other than, say, Rams, Carolina.
Right.
But in this season, Aaron Rodgers has been getting rid of the ball very quickly. So it does scare me a little bit that even though Houston can put a tremendous amount of pressure on the quarterback, are they getting the ball out of his hands to where Houston just can't get there in time because it's coming out so fast?
Mm-hmm.
So what does Houston put together that's going to make him hold on to the ball for just a little bit longer to let that pass rush get to him? That's the only thing that I am worried about in this game, is if the ball and DK Metcalf's back. So is he able to get the ball out of his hands before the pass rush can get there? And even though he's old, wily veterans understand that type of thing. I don't want to get killed, so this ball has to get out of my hands. Is Pittsburgh able to generate enough offense to be able to do that, or can Houston get to him and make him hold the ball just a tick longer than he wanted to, and bam? That's my biggest question in this entire game. I don't think it's about Houston's offense or Pittsburgh's defense. I think it's about that one thing right there. Can they get to him? Can they make him hold it just a little bit longer and then lay the boom? Because here's the deal. I have never liked Aaron Rodgers, ever. I kind of like Brett Favre. Beat us, whatever. But, Brett Favre always had that attitude, whatever. There's nothing about Aaron Rodgers' attitude that I like. There's nothing about Aaron Rodgers that I like. I was praying to God he was going to go to Minnesota just because I just really don't like him.
I was not.
And you see, for the same reasons, right, Ed? I mean, when Brett Favre went to Minnesota, even my dad was like, hey, we got Favre. All right. When I told him Rodgers,
Brett Favre had a personality in the NFL.
Correct.
And he was easy to like.
Yes. Aaron Rodgers is so easy to hate. It's not.
Aaron Rodgers has been a dick ever since he's been in the league.
100%. So I could never root for Aaron Rodgers. Not even kind of. So there's the picks, boys. It's locked in stone. You're right, Jay. Like I said, short passes to his tight end may be his only chance. Or quick screens, quick slants to DK, that sort of thing. Because he doesn't want to get killed. He doesn't want to be in a 41-year-old body bag, because that's Houston definitely has that ability to do that. So, yeah, right. All right, boys. I think that wraps up another. Is that number 98, Ed, if my count's correct?
That is number 98 is going to be a wrap.
98 is going to be a wrap. So outside of that, anything else for the good of the cause other than give us a like, follow, X, Twitter, or X and Facebook? Outside of that, we will know the fates of these games next week, and we'll be talking about a college football championship and the divisional round of the NFL. So until then, we will see you next time.
And that's the bottom line.